Hey, today we're going to do Can't Stop. You should have the PDF right next to me. We learnt it by Red Hot Chili Peppers, focusing on muting, bar chords, strumming, and the minor pentatonic. So these are the chords we use within the song in the verse. That's not the main riff, but I mean they're still important to focus. We start with a major bar chord on the E string, so that's the one I'm circling now. Then we've got the major A string bar chord. It's quite a challenging one because you have to bar across with your third finger. Then we've got the minor bar chord. And finally, the major bar chord. So the only one we don't have is the minor A string bar chord, which is okay. Sometimes you don't have that in a song. So for suggesting practice tips for that beginning intro section, we mainly discuss two types of muting patterns. We've got the first one, which is just our main finger going. So it's just pressing up against the low E string, hitting the A string, and then covering everything else. So an exercise we did was the minor pentatonic. Just the first 4 notes though, because it only works on the E and the A string. The second type of muting, which I do personally, is with the third finger, or the second finger, sorry, the middle finger, and the first finger barring across. So, when we're playing Can't Stop, we do the first type, and then the second type, with the pinky. So in terms of practice tips, I suggest playing to the song and slowly turning it down. Then revising the E and A string bar chords. Listening to the original recording and paying attention to the strong song structure. When is it the verse? When is the main riff happening? When are we learning the solo? Finally, practicing just muting with one finger, going up scales and different strings. Because, yeah, there are 2 types of scales, or 2 types of string muting. Anyway, I'll be sure to show you the song now. So, we'll start with that opening riff, which is 5th on the A string and 7th on the A string. And we can hammer on, we can play them individually, it's really user's choice. But I suggest, only because today we're mainly focusing on muting, I suggest muting these 2 notes. I suggest only using a downstroke rather than an upstroke, because I think it can be a bit distracting and weakening to the second note. See, I don't like that much, where I prefer this. As discussed earlier, remember, we have two types of muting. The first one is just with the single finger pressed up against the low E string, playing the A string, the note we want to play, and then muting all of the other notes. It's always good practice when it doesn't sound right just to go one note at a time. And then the second note is kind of the second type of muting, where we have this main finger covering, which isn't part of the note playing. So you'll see it's just kind of sitting there muting, not really doing much, with this note playing the note. So the main phrase goes like this. So we start with the 7th fret of the A string. And then we go 7th fret of the G string. And then 9th fret of the G string. So first type of muting, second type of muting. So I play that with my second finger, or my middle finger, and my pinky. So the beginning of that phrase is, and then we slide it down. So we do. So we move that to the 5th fret of the A string. Now, the usual guitarist, John Frusciante, plays just the open string, which I find a bit challenging, to be honest. And it means you have to integrate the thumb, and I'm not really a fan of thumb guitar playing. It's a bit distracting, and I find it a bit challenging to move across different positions. So instead I play this. After which, we then play the B, which is the 7th fret of the E string. And then C, which is the 8th fret of the E string. So if we just isolate the bass part without doing the, it sounds like this. So it's always good to just practice playing just the low note. So at the end I played at a slightly slower tempo. However, on YouTube you can adjust the play rate speed, which is always a good practice. So now we've got the main riff out of the way. We have the chorus, which goes like this. Which is an E major bar chord, well, not an E major, but a G major bar chord on the E string. So we're barring across the 3rd fret, then the 5th fret on the A string, 5th fret on the D string, and 4th fret on the G string with our middle finger. Then our A string major bar chord. So that's barring across the 5th fret, not including the low E. And then our ring finger is barring across the 5th fret on the D, G, and B string. So then we play B minor. So we bar across the 7th fret. And then we add our ring finger to the 9th fret of the A string, and our pinky to the 9th fret of the D string. And then once again we bar across the 8th fret, playing with our 10th fret on the D string, our pinky playing the 10th fret of the D string. And then finally our middle finger on the 9th fret of the G string. And that's the strumming pattern, so we go. So that's most of Can't Stop by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Make sure to like and subscribe.